Indiana Jones is a Dial of Destiny, guys. Get into action. What's going on, Alamo City Movie Talk fans? As always, I'm your host, Ryan D. Ryan680.
I'm Angela Ange.
And this is Alamo City Movie Talk, guys. Thank you so much for making this part of your day. If you have not already, be sure to like, share, subscribe to us on our Alamo City Movie Talk page for movie reviews in this case, or trailer reactions. If you have not already, be sure to check out our Out of Theater reaction, which is me and special guest David Lozano in the Star Wars Stuff podcast. So be sure to check that out on our YouTube channel. And if you have not already, guys, thank you so much for making this a part of your day. And let's get right to it. Angela, what are we talking about today?
So we are talking about the fifth movie in this franchise, the Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny races against time to retrieve a legendary artifact that can change the course of history, literally. And I like that. That's a pretty simple saying on IMDb, guys. Yeah. And let's get right to it. First and foremost, we did binge watch some of the Indiana Jones movies. We were like, you know what? I hadn't seen certain ones, so I'm going to put this in perspective here because YouTube, whatever, guys, you guys are going to butcher me. You guys are going to say your opinion doesn't matter because you don't like you haven't seen the past movies. I'll do you one better. So, the first one, I know everyone loves the first one, right? Everyone loves the first Indiana Jones and everything. And I give it to you guys. I am not a huge Indiana Jones fan. I'm going to say that right now. I'm not a huge fan. But not to say the least that I don't understand the character. I understand the character. I understand how strong and how much of iconic character Harrison Ford has played. I mean, this is one of his roles that he's been so iconic with, along with with Lucasfilm and everything, along with Star Wars, of course, and everything. So keeping in the Lucasfilm family, and with that being said and everything, my mom's a huge fan. She's a huge Harrison Ford fan, huge Indiana Jones fan, and so I understand the love for it through her eyes, I guess you could say. And it's definitely a franchise to where you can't be as bad because everyone likes to criticize the Crystal Skull, and I get it. Everyone understands with the Shia LaBeouf and everything, the way it came out. It wasn't my favorite either. It was all right, it wasn't my favorite, needless to say here, but overall, I didn't expect to come out the way I did. And I gotta say, after watching this movie, guys, this is no spoilers, by the way, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny was a fun movie. It's a fun, laughing movie. This movie is going to get you going. If you are a huge, and this is me saying not a huge Indiana Jones fan, okay? This is why I like to say that a lot. We're like, what? Your opinion doesn't matter because you haven't seen it. Granted, I'm seeing it as a movie perspective, as a moviegoer, as not as a huge fan as the huge greatest fans, and I get that. I understand that. Not to say the least, like if someone watches Star Wars, I'm not going to criticize them. Oh, well, you haven't seen certain Star Wars or whatever. But if you enjoyed this movie, hey, by all means, enjoy it. But needless to say, I enjoyed this movie, guys. This is a fun, great film. And granted, though, I know a lot of people are saying it's not as good or like, oh, it's not as good as Crystal Skull or the other ones, but this is 40 years. Harrison Ford's been playing it. I don't care. Harrison Ford's been my president in Air Force One. He's been in What Lies Beneath. He's been in so many different Presumed Innocent, so many great roles I've known Harrison Ford to be in, and he doesn't. I'm a huge Harrison Ford fan. So there you go. Leave it like that. But Angela, what did you think of this movie, man?
I agree with you. Before we had our binge moment, I hadn't seen really most of them. I think I had seen like the fourth one, Crystal Skull, was my favorite. So we did rewatch some of the prominent ones. I really liked, before this movie came out, the third one with Sean Connery. I really liked that one more than the others. Again, I'm not a huge Indiana Jones fan, but I am a pretty big Harrison Ford fan. I like a lot of the movies he's in. He's played, iconic roles. He's done so many films throughout his career. And I will agree with you. I was pleasantly surprised when I walked away from this film because you're right. It's a very fun movie. It's very exciting. Yeah. And it's really cool to see him do some of those stunts at his age. And it's not so much because I know a lot of the film with a lot of action films, one of the biggest caveats is it believable?
Yes.
And I feel like it's not as ridiculous in this film.
Yeah.
It's still in a fun way where you're entertained while watching it. And not just thinking the entire time, nah. Which I feel like movies like that are nowadays. You're like, oh, wait, they pulled off this ridiculous stunt. I, more so than that, because I know he's kind of known for those stunts and like action sequences and everything. Yeah. I really like the story in this and the history behind it because it does tie to some of the previous films. but it also has like a really good explanation of this artifact that they have, the Dial of Destiny, what it does. And it's really cool to see they explain that, why they're going after it, and actually see it, like, because you see it in the trailer, of course, but it's really cool to see how they come to find it. The adventure comes out, they explore the history. So I really like that.
Yeah, it was almost...
It's very interesting.
Yeah, it was almost to where, like, not like National Treasure, because that's criticizing it, because Indiana Jones, it's its own entity, it's its own franchise. And I'll be on. I did not like the first one. I know everyone's gonna hate me on this. 40 years in the making. I'm sorry, guys. No. I didn't enjoy it as much as everyone else did. Now, The Last Crusade, which is the one you're talking about here, Indiana Jones' The Last Crusade, I enjoyed that more than the first one.
Yeah, I would say the third one, in my opinion, is better than the first one.
We're gonna get hate. I'm sorry, guys. We're gonna get so much hate. We're like, I think guys, what are y'all talking about?
It's just because it kept. I'm not into history that much. Like, I think it's really cool the way they explain it and like the history behind it. I'm not really big into history, but I really liked the third one, and I really liked that they brought back that in this one. It was explaining a lot of the history behind it. It's super smart.
More so with the character development here, because we got a lot of. That's the thing. I'm a huge sucker for, is that sequels that use the sequences or the consequences of the last movies to determine how this movie's going to play out. I love that a lot. I'm a big sucker for that. So I love that because it continues the story, continues that history, especially of a story that's so well known and so well put in certain ways, right? Was really good. Again, this is me going in with some not high expectations, but somewhat of like, I hope it's better. We get something different out of here, and I thought we did. Granted, it's the same. It's not the same story, kind of. I mean, he is running away from Nazis, just like we saw in the trailer. But I felt like that they really add on a little bit here. You know, Mads Mikkelsen does a fantastic job. I think he's a really great villain in here, guys. I thought he did a very good job.
He's not a stranger to playing villains.
No,
he's done both.
He was just in the Dumbledore. The Dumbledore.
Yeah. So he does such a great job, because it's like you can tell he's kind of consumed by this artifact that they're trying to search for, and you kind of see him slowly descend into madness, but then he's like also like a scientist, so he's proper about it. So I really like the actor. I think he did such a great job as the villain in this. I
mean, even the director himself, James Mangold, oh my god, dude, this guy has a huge, amazing resume, and that's to say the least. Is that because, let's be honest here, it just not any movie, especially a franchise just like this, especially with Star Wars, you need a really good director at the helm. And this guy has done Ford versus Ferrari. He's done Logan, which I thought was like the best Wolverine movie ever. Ford versus Ferrari, I love that. I have to watch that movie once a year. I have to watch that film. Add to the movies I have to watch every single year. This director, executive producer, and all that, he is just fantastic. I think he did a great job in what he was given. And I think this is a really great send-off to Harrison Ford, because he said it himself already. This is the last time he's playing this character. He says.
I would hope so, because I mean, they do also kind of write in their elements of like he's getting older. Of course. Yeah, it kind of ties into the plot. We see it. They write into it in the story. Mm-hmm. So I do agree. If Harrison Ford has kind of said like this is it, I can kind of agree. Now, does that completely, cut off any possibility of like anything else coming in the future that could be in the same realm? Maybe. If fans really, really want that. But I agree. I think Harrison Ford, this is a great film for him to end on in this franchise as Indiana Jones. Yeah. But again, I also really like the other characters. We see some familiar faces. We see some new faces. Yeah. And I think they all did such a great job. Yeah, no, definitely. Especially for the next generation, I guess you could say. But playing this character for so long, and I understand why he got a standing ovation, because he has played this character so well and so good. And I mean, he is Indiana Jones, And granted, I mean, a lot of people are going to say, oh, I even saw a YouTuber like, oh, this movie belongs in a museum now, or Indiana Jones belongs in a museum. The funny jokes, and I get it. He's definitely. I mean, he's older. I mean, it's coming of age, and I feel like this is his last great send off. I feel like if this is it, for this film, for this character,
Granted, though, I don't know if they could continue the character. It's going to be quite questionable.
I wouldn't. That's not
right now.
There are certain films
Yeah.
that if they do remake it or continue it,
Yeah.
I would not want them to recast him, and this would be one of them.
I feel like not right now. I feel like we got to wait at least 10 years or so. I mean, until I feel like a little while because, but I mean, who knows? Who knows? Maybe he'll play just a cameo, and they'll make another movie, and then he'll just make a cameo in there and be like, oh, this is somebody, or this is taking off this send off, I guess. You never know. For me, I feel like this is probably the last one though. After watching the film, guys,
but super well done. Yeah. I love the stunts, love the characters.
The runtime for this was 2 hours and 34 minutes. I felt like it was a little long. It was not dragging, but you can really sense like it was longer than usual. And granted, though, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it, a lot of it. The only thing that bothered me the most, of course, was the CGI, the first beginning part of this film, guys. The first 15, 20 minutes of this movie, there's an action sequence where it talks about, and they've seen it a lot in critic reviews. We've seen it a lot of YouTubers, they said it, like the first 15, 20 minutes where they do like the past scene. It's very CGI. It looks very bad as the Flash was when he's saving the babies in the Flash movie. So,
I disagree. I don't think the CGI is that bad, but it is a little noticeable at first. And I mean, obviously, because obviously,
come on. And the one that looks believable is Matt. I mean, Matt Mikkelsen. I don't think he's CGI. I think they just like made it.
No, I say it because it is in the trailer. They CGI him as a younger version of Indy, right?
Yeah.
So obviously, it's CGI. But it doesn't look bad in my opinion. Yeah. I don't. It's noticeable because you're like, oh, he doesn't look like that anymore. Yeah. It's a flashback because it's in the trailer. Yeah. But I don't have any problems with that. Yeah. And I think the stunts, actually, also some of the stunts that they did in certain scenes were done really well too.
Good, yeah. And also, fun fact, guys, this is actually written by a few credentials, and of course, the one and only George Lucas himself. He's of course based on his characters and everything. So, but yeah, was this the film that we deserved? I'm gonna say politely yes. If you are a huge Indiana Jones fan, check out this movie in the theater, guys, because you of all people will love this movie. I guarantee you will, because if we enjoyed it for not being a huge fan as average, we're like average fans of Indiana Jones, and I have to give that to perspective. I have to give that to point of opinion because like huge diehard Indiana Jones fans, they're out there just like Star Wars. I'm a huge Star Wars fan. And yeah, I love that. That's great and everything. But all I'm saying is that just because like, oh, your opinion doesn't matter because you haven't seen, I don't believe that one bit. That's just my take. Call me crazy. Come after me. Come at me. I don't care. It's just my point of opinion. Oh, because you haven't seen so and so. I don't believe that one bit, guys. You moviegoers out there, there's plenty of times to where I could name it countless times where people have seen certain Harry Potter movies. And granted, they're like, oh my God, I love Harry Potter, Prisoner of Azkaban. And that, okay, what was the first movie you saw? Prisoner of Azkaban. What? You can't get upset about that. That's all I'm saying. Granted, they're watching it in films of like beginning in the middle or the fourth movie, the third movie. In this case, we watched first, and then we watched Last Crusade, and then we watched this one, and then Crystal Skull, of course, with Shia LaBeouf. So we skipped, yeah. I mean, but not to say, did we miss anything? No, we got the gist of it, guys. That's all I'm saying, yeah. But average moviegoers, definitely huge Indiana Jones fans, I think you guys will enjoy this movie. But yeah, with that being said out of the way, yeah, rating 1 out of 10. 10 be the highest, Angela. When you give this rating?
I'll give it 7.5 because I think it's a really solid film. It's very enjoyable. Love the cast. I think they did such a good job. The action and the CGI and the plot and how it was written flowed very well. So overall, it was a pretty well done film.
Yeah, no, you definitely
for the 5th film in this franchise, it's very well done.
Yeah, this franchise, I feel like this is also the nostalgia's there. The huge fan iconic nostalgia's there for Indiana Jones fans. It's there. The essence of all that is there. It's monumental because of that. Like, oh my God, remember this, and I love that. That's huge for Indiana Jones fans, and it's funny because even though we're not, we still noticed it. You still notice that nostalgia. We still saw that. We saw the callback references of the previous films. We saw the callback sayings. We saw the stories telling their grandkids and all this. That was great. I love this. I had a huge blast at the movie theater, experiencing it with huge Indiana Jones fans. And this is definitely a huge tribute to Harrison Ford's legacy as Indiana Jones. And I feel like this leaves closure to all audiences out there. I really do. I'll leave it at that. But yeah, beloved character, guys. If you are huge Indiana Jones fans, I feel like everyone knows who this character is. I feel like it's almost it's as iconic as Star Wars. It really is. But yeah, but never tell me the odds. I'm just kidding. Don't hate me on that. I'm sorry. I'm a Star Wars fan. Let it be. All right, guys. Thank you so much. As always, I'm your host Ryan D. Ryan 680. And did I give this rating?
You did not.
Okay, I'm gonna give it a solid 6.5. 6.5, guys. I did enjoy this movie, and it's a very fun movie. I think overall it's a good experience. It really is, and I feel like it really captivates the chapters of Indiana's journeys. They're all his adventures, I feel like. But yeah. All right, guys. Like, share, subscribe to us on our Alamo City Movie Talk page. As always, I'm your host, Ryan D. Ryan 680.
I'm Angela Tacariange.
This is Alamo City Movie Talk, guys. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. Peace.